Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies here at RacineSportsZone.com. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer from the Wendy's Big Show weekday afternoons from 2 to 6, along with former Packer Badger running back Gery Woelfel, Ronnie McLaughlin. Now and again during the week, more now than not, Packer Hall of Famer Leroy Butler stops in as well.
By the way, do you think he's going to be elected to the Hall of Fame? Do you think he's got a shot?
No.
He's on the ballot again.
Yeah, I know. Every year. No. And you can vote for him, or you could have voted for him at NFL.com. Fans, I don't think, are aware that they can vote for Hall of Famers now at NFL.com. They get a percentage of the vote. So you can vote for Leroy Butler. He should have been in years ago, and he continues to get screwed. He is Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. Time to talk a little high school football. We'll start off first with St. Catherine's as they get ready to take on Burlington Catholic Central this week. They get by with a win last week over Martin Luther, 37-20 there. Ernest Cobb, 24 carries, 132 yards, and 2 scores. Obviously running the football, something that St. Cat's does very well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game that we've anticipated right from the beginning of the season. You knew they were going to be on a collision course, and here they are. They play Saturday afternoon at Horlick Field.
That should be a primetime game, by the way.
It should be outstanding. I mean, St. Catherine's got back on track last week by winning. I think some of their players are healthy. Catholic Central is playing at a real high level right now. I mean, they are cruising. I mean, it should be a good game, but I'll tell you what. Excuse me. Catholic Central is a special team. I mean, we talked about this, a little bit in the past, but they not only have a great offense, high-powered offense. By the way, they went up a point since last week in their offense.
Oh, sure, yeah. They're out of their mind right now.
But their defense is the key. I mean, they've had good defenses in the past, but I think this is an exceptional defense. So.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see. Burlington Catholic, again, comes in undefeated in the conference. St. Cat's comes into conference play here at 3-2 on the year. The other thing to note here is Catholic Central is 5-0, as we noted. St. Joe's down in Kenosha also is 5-0 at this point. They barely escaped with the victory over Shoreland Lutheran last week at 28-22. Now, St. Joe's, they get Martin Luther this week in Kenosha. So you would assume St. Joe's beats Martin Luther, and eventually these two are going to have to play.
And then St. Joe's plays Catholic Central in the season finale, and Catholic Central could be going for a perfect season.
So could St. Joe's.
Right, exactly.
They both could be.
So that's one part of the equation. The other part of the equation is St. Catherine's gets Dominican. So even if St. Catherine stubs its toe this week, they should beat Dominican.
And that gets them their 4 wins in conference.
And that'll get them into the playoffs again. Right. So, I mean, we got basically 2 teams here that are playoff bound.
Yeah, no question about that. Moving on, we'll go to the Southeast Conference. Horlick got annihilated by Oak Creek last week, 41-16. Positive, I guess, for Horlick. Joe Garcia had a 20-yard touchdown run and a 90-yard kickoff return. They got.
I'll tell you what, he could possibly be the best player in the county. He had some issues early in the season where he couldn't play, but he is a terrific athlete, very good basketball player. He came in last season at the end and played quarterback for him, and now he's a running back. And you can see his big play capability.
Yes.
I mean, if you return a touchdown 90 yards, you know you got something going for you. Now you put him and Tavares Adams together in the backfield. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch, and you know Horlick's defense has been pretty steady all year.
Had been,
yeah. I mean, against the Oak Creek, they're gonna struggle. But I see Horlick as a team that could be a sleeper.
But Garrett, they gave up 275 yards rushing somewhere in that area. That's a lot of ground.
Absolutely, I agree. But this is a team I think that's got a chance to not go deep in the playoffs, but I think they could surprise people.
It was interesting. That game, Horlick was down 14-0 after one. They come back. They threw up 16 in the second quarter. It's 27-16 at half. It's still a game. I mean, you go into halftime, I think, if you're Coach Fletcher going, all right, we're still in this. It's not a big deal. We'll be all right. And then they don't score a single point in the second half and they lose.
Well, here again, even if they lose, their final game is against Park.
Right.
And
Horlick's next game is at Indian Trail down in Kenosha. Indian Trail comes in 4-1. Horlick comes in 3-2.
So even if they stub their toe, they come back in the finale against Park, and they could be in. You know what, Steve? There could be...
Boy, oh boy, could you imagine Park knowing they could keep them out of the playoffs?
that would be very interesting.
I don't care how bad Park is, they'll be ready for that.
Well, it's an intra-city rivalry game, so yeah, there's going to be a lot at stake. But you know what? There could be 6 legitimate teams from the county in the playoffs, okay? And I can't remember the last time Racine County football has been, let's be honest, not very good.
Yep.
There'd be 2 or 3 teams, but to have 6 teams possibly reach the playoffs, that's a great season.
Southern Lakes Conference will go over there. Waterford remains undefeated. They get a 30-24 victory over Union Grove. Waterford's defense normally on point, normally slowing guys down, but at the end of the day, Matt Nelson, 226 yards, 3 touchdown passes. And again, this is that new Union Grove offense with the Racine Raider quarterback as head coach. But again, the problem is when you're playing a very good football team, and I don't care if this is high school, college, or the NFL, if you're playing a team that is better than you are, and Waterford is probably better than Union Grove right now, you can't turn the ball over. So as well as Nelson did throwing the ball, 2 interceptions cost them.
Yeah, absolutely. But they got 2. I mean, they're still in the playoff picture.
Sure. Union Grove now coming in 3-2, but the problem with them is they're home against Badger.
And
Badger's 4-1, and Badger's good with Hensler as coach.
Yeah, and not only do they have Badger, then you got the game of the year possibly in the Southern Lakes because they end up against Burlington.
Sure.
In the season. And both those teams.
But Union Grove can win that game.
Yeah,
Union Grove
so
can
can
win
Burlington.
Right.
I think it's a toss-up game.
Right.
But I think at that stage, both teams could still be saying, hey, this is our season. This is our playoff hopes.
You know,
that's going to be a huge game.
The one thing I'm realizing here is, as we're going through this, I haven't seen every team in the Southern Lakes play, but what Union Grove brings is something that you don't see every week in Southern Lakes play. Mm-hmm. A lot of these schools want to run the football, play D and all that, and Union Grove comes out throwing the football. And it takes some adjusting to get used to because, again, if you're Waterford, you don't see this.
Correct.
You don't see this spread offense. You don't get to play Franklin every year, who runs that same type of spread offense. Oak Creek is kind of trying to do it, but they're not throwing the ball as much as, say, Franklin. That gives Union Grove an advantage, I think, because you just can't practice for it as much.
I agree. And, it's a reflection of their coach, obviously, Craig McClellan.
Got a quarterback.
He's a Racine Raiders coach. He's offensive-minded, passing-oriented. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
And that does give them an advantage. So, 30-24, Waterford beats Union Grove. Next up for Waterford, home against Delvin-Darien. That's a win. Then Badger at Union Grove. That'll be an interesting contest. I love Hensler. Everybody knows that watches these videos. The coach at Badger. Union Grove can beat them. I think Union Grove can beat them, especially knowing that they've got them at home.
Well, they sent a message by playing Waterford so closely.
Yes.
I mean, that was, to me, a turning point game or a signature game for them. So,
and I can't forget Ben Michalowski, 122 yards and a couple touchdowns for Waterford in that game. He is the offense for Waterford.
Well, yeah, they got a nice little balance there. Allen's a good quarterback.
Yes.
He keeps things steady. You got Michalowski, and then you got a couple other running backs that they can throw in. They have a very balanced attack, and as we have talked ad nauseum, this has been a program that's based their team on defense. It's all been predicated on defense. And now all of a sudden, you got a pretty good offense. If I'm not mistaken, they're almost averaging like 30 points a game.
Yeah.
And for Waterford, that's a lot.
Huge. He is Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer. Thanks for tuning into another edition of Sports Junkies. We'll talk to you next week right here at RacineSportsZone.com.